Welcome back to Live Free and Drive. Today we're coming to you from a sheet of ice with this, a 2004 Volkswagen Jetta. It is also probably one of the holy grail options you could get of a Mark IV Jetta. It's a diesel, it's a stick, and it's a wagon, which in this day and age is pretty hard to find, especially in this shape. This car has held up amazing over time, so we're going to dive right into it and take a look at it. So, quick little history on the Mark IV for those of you who've been living under a rock or weren't born before yellow card was a thing. So, the Mark IV Jetta is arguably one of the most successful generations of Volkswagen Jettas that has existed so far. They used to be everywhere. They're kind of hard to find nowadays because these really were never meant to be an enthusiast car unless you got something like a GLI. They were more so just a practical car, get the diesel for good gas mileage, long before emission scandals were a thing, and they just were a really robust, well-built car. This is before these cars got really electronic-y and techy, although as the owner just showed me there's plenty of stupid mechanical things that they did, but that's German cars for you. It takes a special level of patience to deal with that. So, this car, just to give you an idea of how successful the Jettas were of this era, they actually sold the Mark IV Jetta in certain countries all the way till 2008 alongside the Mark V because people loved them that much. And at the time, in other countries, the Mark V was just too expensive in certain places. So this car has really stood the test of time, especially this one right here to be in this kind of cosmetic shape. So my thoughts on this car already, I actually always loved the look of these. The only sad thing about them is the reason why you don't see a lot of these. So, I mean, in addition to most of these being run into the ground, because you get a couple different options. You had like the 1.8T, a 2.0 NA. They didn't have 5 cylinders yet, right? Okay, not here at least. And the diesel. But most of these have really been ratcheted to the ground, just ruined by certain enthusiasts. We'll call them that, I guess. And just a lot of them too were they went to people's normal commuter cars, just drove them until they blew up. But I always loved the look of these. I always did kind of want one actually too. I did look into it. Like, they're just a really iconic shape for the brand as well. Like, it seems it was kind of the last era of like these cars being somewhat boxy, I guess is the way I guess is the word you could use to describe it. They had rounded off the front just fine and everything, but it was the last era of the iconic boxy shape for this before they rounded everything off. This car, though, is so factory still. It's still got factory wheels on it, which is impressive in itself. The only real thing I've seen out here besides like some typical cosmetic blemishes for a car this old is like tiny bit of rust down here, but that's kind of typical for these. I'm gonna move inside real quick so we can show off in here too, because in the inside it's basically the same story with the exception of the one missing trim piece in front of the steering wheel. This car inside looks beautiful too. I've always loved the black interior look. It actually almost is very Audi-like in here. Like first, if you told me we got rid of the Volkswagen logo, told me this is an A4, I'd believe you. And this one too is also held up exceptionally well, because a lot of these you see they have warping dashboards, the headliner and the pillars are falling apart, but not this one. It's actually amazing to think this car was in New York, of all places, and held up this well. I've always liked how these look inside too. They're not too over the top, and it's very nostalgic to the 2000s in here. All right, everybody, so here's George, who looks like he's freezing right now, and I don't blame him. It's about 20 degrees out. You've seen him in other videos, too, most likely. He has the navy blue G35.
Black.
Or black. It's navy blue, black. It's the same. I swear to God, it's blue.
City of Black.
Well, either way, the heat doesn't work in that car, so I figured it wasn't the best weather for a 20-degree day. And he's actually driven up here an hour and a half just for us to do the video in this thing. So, thank you for that.
No problem.
All right, George, so why'd you pick this?
So basically, I drive about 100 miles a day for work, and the G35, as great as it is, it's not the most fuel efficient when you're paying premium, and premium's about $4.50 a gallon, and I have to fill up every 2-3 days. Not great. So
So it's $4.50 by you right now?
It was.
It's not much better here.
I paid $3.59 the other day.
I've enjoyed not having to fill my car during the winter. As much as I miss it, it's kind of nice. But
Same
continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that was a comment worth making.
Gas prices nowadays, you know.
Garbage. Anyways, so I was like, I need something little more dailyable. So I figured front wheel drive is good for the winter because, as you can see, it snows here. I definitely want a stick shift because anything this slow would be horrendous with an automatic. And automatics on these cars are absolute garbage. And diesel's great on gas. It'd be a new experience. I never had a diesel before, so why not try it out? And the Wagon, I can tell you, I have moved recently into my own apartment, and this has been a lifesaver. It's a bit more of a subcompact wagon than your usual, you know, like V70s and whatnot like that. But it works. You can fit everything in the back of that thing. It's awesome.
So how does this compare size-wise to Gio's V70?
Oh, this is much smaller. I park in parking spaces and there's still room. It's even smaller than the G35. It's impressive.
It really, too, when you look at it, even from this angle, if you look at a picture of a sedan, it really just looks like they just threw a cover over the back of it.
Exactly.
Like, that's actually one thing about these cars that was really made them such a big deal, too, is for Volkswagen, why they're such a groundbreaking car, is the fact that this is really their first wagon. It wasn't a hatchback like the Golf or anything. It was an actual, true-to-form wagon.
Yeah. And you didn't mention it before, it looks very A4-like. It actually does use the A4 platform.
That's kind of what I figured.
Which is pretty much the same thing.
And plus, too, I mean, I'm already glad you brought it out, too, because we're probably never going to find one this... It's going to be hard to find one this nice again, too. So,
exactly.
Do you know any secrets as to how this thing is this nice still?
I absolutely have zero idea. It's lived its entire life in Long Island.
That's horrible.
Exactly.
The poor car.
But when our good friend Chris, he offered to drive me down there, God bless his soul, drive to Long Island.
Yeah, seriously.
We checked it out. It had a couple issues mechanical-wise in terms of like a hard start and whatnot. I think that's solved by the battery and being able to come stuff from city driving because all the soot builds up in there.
That makes sense.
So
we checked underneath and it is flawless.
So Chris went with you guys. Does that mean this is like the second car that the little group has bought now?
That's true. This is the original before the rally happened and we bought the Volvo for Andrew. This was the original group drive. Buy the car.
That's true. I tried to look at a Porsche for Chris and it was a shit show. We'll tell that story a different day. But this is about this car. We're gonna talk about the positives of this car today.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying, like,
So,
you guys are having a lot of fun buying stuff.
It's stock minus one modification.
Yep. So I had that wing actually back when I had my Corolla. Just for shiggles, I thought I'd slap it on there. By the time it came in from China, I had my G35 and sold the Corolla already. So I found that the other day. And I immediately ran out and slapped it on the Jetta.
You mean you didn't want to use that to track the G35 with?
Yeah, exactly. Spoiler and a wing.
Yeah, when race car is life, race car is life.
Exactly.
All the extra downforce.
Yep.
So, obviously you haven't had this too long, but so far, what would you say your favorite time or memory you've had with this car has been so far, if there's any? Because you've said you've only had it since summer, and it's not even midwinter yet.
Yeah, it's still getting to the point of growing on me. I immediately had to change out the camshaft on the Views, which is this model diesel motor. They tend to wear out. It's just the type of metal they use for the camshaft. It was too soft for how steep the lobes were and everything. So that's the first thing I had to do when I found metal and oil pan, first oil change. That was a bit rough. But luckily,
oh, that's unfortunate.
Nothing got damaged. I replaced it. And it's been overboosting since I got it. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I think there's some soot buildup in the turbo because it's starting to clear itself out now. I can drive on the highway and it'll be okay. But I mean, I'm still trying to get to the point where it's running fine before I can really enjoy it. It's a nice, comfortable ride, honestly. Like, the G35 is still pretty much stock, but the suspension on this is really comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm going over bumps and just like nothing at this point. It
All right.
actually handles not horrendously for being on stock suspension. And as Aaron saw on the way here, we took a turn at a questionable speed. But she held up fine. So,
It was under the speed limit.
In Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah, we were getting up the speed on the highway.
Exactly.
It's okay. We're trying to keep up with some idiot in a black Volvo. Anyways.
Don't know who that was.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Yeah, he seemed like he thought he was real. He seemed like he thought he was all that too.
It's a black Volvo. It's obviously all that. Okay.
I will admit, as much as we don't even need to put this in the video. I will admit, I'm glad you made a comment about doing this before we did any more Volvos, because I don't want people to get the wrong idea about this channel. I like
okay,
Volvos,
guys. Like, in all fairness, I'm just trying to
every Volvo in our group.
No, I'm trying to change this into a Volvo channel. That's the secret. I offered to start doing the editing for this channel to change it into a Volvo channel because I figure that's what the people want. Okay.
No, we'll do the G35 and that'll get your viewers up. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Well, it can't go any lower than a Mustang.
Anyone who
So.
played trumpet in there, trombone in there.
All right, let's see what the inside looks like.
Yeah,
Let's
why
see
don't you show us the part every wagon enthusiast wants to see?
So like I said before,
Oh, yes.
it's a sub
The
compact
rear end.
wagon, but it's not too bad space-wise.
It's not at all, honestly.
I have a couple things in there.
For all the homeowners, just think of all the 2x4s you can shove right through here, and
This
you can
thing's
definitely
already,
couple trips to Home Depot.
I've already fit a 65-inch TV in the back, a massive AC unit in like half of my friend's apartment, and then a whole bumper for a Civic in the back of this. It
Nice.
did have to sit all the way up to the passenger seat, and I also fit about 6-foot folding tables and 40 folding chairs in this thing.
Nice.
Was it questionable? Yes. Did it work though? And did I die? No.
Hey, you lived to tell a story. That's what matters.
Exactly.
All right, let's get ready for
Wait. So if you don't
Oh.
want to be a simpleton and buy a RAV4, there you go. This is better
You get
and
all-
more exciting.
You get all the space of an SUV and all the handling with sedan.
And you're not a bitch. But
Okay, all complaints go straight to Aaron. I am just a poor editor of this channel. I have no say of what comes out of his mouth.
all right, it's cold out here. Do you want to get in the car where it's warm and start driving it?
Sounds
Right.
good to me.
All right.
A little icy.
So before we even start driving or try to mount the camera anywhere, what is the deal with this? Why is the e-brake hit the center console? Because what the hell is that?
It's a joyous factor of every time you pull up the e-brake, you have to pull up the center console because they contact. Instead of moving this over like half an inch, which would have been perfect, they didn't.
That makes no sense at all. Okay, so now let's drive it.
So I got a solution for you.
What?
Sawzall.
Good point. That's a very good point.
That could work, but no thanks. I like my armrest.
Yeah, would you be a favor and hold this for me, please?
Actually, fun
Get
fact.
that out of there.
Oh, jeez.
I'll move this out of the way for you. Good.
Okay. Listen, I don't think I need to worry about stalling. We're already moving. What do you mean? There we go. Jesus Christ.
I didn't even know it beeped at you. Thanks for that.
The more you know.
So it shifts real easy between gears. The only thing is you just gotta pay attention for like lugging because it's really weird how just going from gas to diesel.
Okay. Oh, like that.
Yeah, you'll feel the torque lower than up top, but like when you shift up, like the RPMs drop a lot more than you'd expect.
Okay. Well, just forget to put the mirror back on.
Start driving back. Shit.
Yeah. Oh, great. I can't see behind me now.
I got it.
All right, you will be the mirror then.
Yep. I am the mirror.
We will take a left here and not try to beat this pilot and get killed by it. Alrighty, driving a TDI. So this is a whole totally new experience for me because I've never really driven a TDI before. I've driven, you know, plenty of diesel trucks and stuff when I used to work at Ford, but not really cars and with manuals for that matter. So far I already really like how it moves. I did forget how nicely Volkswagen shifters do shift. They're so smooth. Even all the way back in 2004, they just feel so nice in your hand. This one, you know, it feels like it has 6 neutrals, but the bushings are really nice. Also, too, let us know what you think of the camera angle. We're busy trying new things, as you can see. You're looking outside instead of at me for once. Probably a better view anyway. But, so, overall, how do you like driving this thing?
It's pretty good. I do wish it had more power. It only has 100 horsepower, 177 pound-feet of torque.
I mean, that sign seems to think it has a lot of power, but...
Yeah, going around town is not bad, because it's all low end. You can get away with it, but once you get on the highway, it starts getting iffy when you're trying to get past people or whatnot.
Right.
But aside from that, it's pretty good. I have no complaints.
Yeah, no, it's, I do see why people like driving. I have heard people say these are slow even with a turbo, and so far I can agree.
Yeah, the one nice thing about diesels, though, is that they respond really well to tunes.
Yeah.
So I do plan on getting a tune eventually. The only issue is, I believe if it's a stage 2 tune, you need a new clutch.
Really?
Yes, because these clutches don't hold up much torque, apparently.
Well, that's surprising.
It is. They also make less than 200 pound-feet of torque, so I don't blame them either. They don't need much.
Right. Interesting. All right, so when we get to a straightaway, we'll see just how fast this stallion is.
Yeah. The one weird thing that took a while to get used to is that I'm used to downshifting to speed up. In this car, you quite literally just stay in gear and hit the gas.
Okay.
It's all down low power. Like where you're at right now at 2,000 RPM, that's actually good for it.
Right. All right, so straight enough here. All right, what gear? What's a good gear to go from?
Yeah, you can go now.
Okay, go from third.
Yeah.
All right, let's see how much power this thing really has behind all its glory. Oh, that was a full 10-mile-an-hour difference.
Yep.
Not terrible though.
No, putzing around town, it's pretty okay.
Faster than a Civic, but but being honest, I'm not making that up. At least I think it is. You got to factor in too, you have a bit of extra car on this one too.
Yeah.
So I actually did see a comment though. I mentioned how this was kind of the end of an era for the boxier look for Volkswagens, and I was actually ironically reading something recently that made a comment about them being like Mark V kind of, they felt like saved things like the GTI, because it felt like they made them a lot more nimble. But I kind of see what they're saying with this. It actually does feel really big in here.
Yeah, it's nice and spacious. I think part of it...
It is nice though, because this car was never, unless you go to GLI, this car was never really meant to be fast.
Exactly.
Oh god, I forgot to mention VR6s earlier. People are gonna kill me now. I love the VR6 too.
VR6 is great.
I think that's an outstanding little motor.
It's a shame they just refuse to stay alive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they don't like living, but we certainly like them.
Oh, big time.
We certainly like when they do. So overall, for a stock car too, this isn't bad at all, especially for early 2000s times. That's my favorite part about this one, especially seeing one that's as clean as this. This top tier model, it doesn't feel outdated really.
No,
minus the factory radio, which I can't believe has.
It still has all the knobs for the bass and the treble and the middle. And
someone very much loved this car, and its true form for it to look like this.
I am the third owner of this.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how long the previous owner had it by chance?
It was a long time.
Okay.
I know that much. I think maybe like 6 or 8 years.
Okay.
So, but even the guy before was from Long Island, so the car lived its whole life in Long Island.
I wonder how many clutches this is on after living in Long Island. That whole town is a stop sign.
Yeah, and I believe that's part of the reason why I had the overboost issues, because diesels don't like city driving. They like highway driving. Otherwise, they start to clog up with soot.
Right.
So I believe that might be what happened, because I've been driving it pretty much like a jackass, and it's cleared up some of the overboost. My guess is maybe that's what the issue was, and I burned out some of the soot, but I still gotta dive deeper into it.
Well, I mean, either way, it's better to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow anyway.
Exactly.
Ask me how I know.
I drive a G35, so I'm slow no matter what.
At least you admitted.
It's true.
G35s aren't even that bad either, but they're very torquey. That's the biggest part about the TDI too, speaking of that word. They're torquey.
Yes, there's no top end whatsoever.
Well, actually, we're gonna turn around a second so I can actually go from a stop from like in first.
Yeah, it's not horrendous. It'll take its sweet time.
Because truth be told, I actually meant to turn like all the way back at the junkyard. I just kind of forgot. So
I believe the 0 to 60 time is like 10 seconds on these things.
Right.
Somewhere around there. So not too far off from a 2004 Corolla, which I had previously.
I believe this road will bring me to where I just wanted to go. That turns me around. If not, well, I guess we're going on a little quest. So I think it does. I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah, I get about 40-45 miles per gallon on this thing, so we're all set.
Starting to think I'm wrong because it's going left. Although actually, no, I think if I turn here. Okay. Where's that a driveway? No, that's a street. Where the fuck are we now?
That's a good question.
Turn the lights on too because it started to already be hard to see the gauges.
Yeah. That's
I like the blue actually. Does those come like that?
That is the factory blue. That's common for Volkswagen. They do the red and blue accents.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
The one I will say though, the dash is really kind of difficult to see when it starts getting like kind of sundown-ish.
Yeah.
Just you can't see anything on the dash, and the lights don't light up very bright either on the dash itself. So even then, it's kind of difficult to tell.
All right, maybe if I go this way, it'll take me to where I wanted to go. How am I getting lost in Newton, Hampshire? Like, this is... Like, that shouldn't happen here. Clutch feels really nice, too. That's what's nice about like these economy cars with stick shifts. They're really, really easy.
Yeah.
Like, this is a perfect car for someone who's never driven a stick. Like, I could totally... This is a car I could totally give a beginner and they could easily figure out. So if you actually really wanted a good car to start with, this is a perfect start.
Yeah, and the diesel, you get all the torque down low. The only thing that makes it difficult is the throttle's not very responsive.
Yeah.
It's all electronic. There's obviously no throttle body on a diesel.
Yeah.
But I have no issues. I've even taught some friends how to drive this car.
It is amazing how different diesels can be than gas drives. All right, since these cars are torquey, we'll see how it does pulling out in first. Well, I will admit, it was a little underwhelming for what I thought it might be.
Oh yeah, no, don't forget, it's still only 100 horsepower. And this car is about, what is it, 18 years old?
Right.
So, it's probably not making as much as it used to.
So, a big thing about owning a TDI is mileage. So, what is your average MPG being, would you say, in a good day?
I've been getting probably around 40, 45 would be my guess.
Okay.
I haven't really done much numbers. There are some people who hypermile these and get 70 plus miles a gallon.
I have heard that before. That's insane.
But those people, like, they're getting like 1,200 miles out of a tank, but they're going to extreme levels of like shutting off the car and coasting down a hill.
Right.
On average, if you drive nicely, you can get like 50 miles a gallon.
I already felt the traction control trying to kick in just on that corner in 45.
Yeah, these tires are not the best.
What brand of tires are these?
These are Kelly Edge HP.
I'm not even sure if I've ever heard of that. I'm not gonna lie.
If I remember correctly, they're off of Michelin.
Okay. Interesting. It's a nice little car, though. I mean, I'm actually pretty stoked I got to drive this thing. Just like I said, it's. I don't know if I'll ever find one this nice again.
Exactly. The problem is, I paid about $5 grand for this. It had 175,000 miles when I bought it. 04.
Right.
And it was very clean. I was actually very suspicious when I pulled up and went to go check it out when I saw the ad on Facebook. Because normally you find cars for that price and they're like rotting out, and especially with the Wagon manual, they're really hard to find in the diesel.
Yeah.
And you find them, they have the hood stack and they have like over 300,000 miles, which the motors hold up to fine, no problem. They can go up to 500,000 miles, no issue. Problem is the bodies don't. So
right.
if they don't take care of it, then you're screwed. But aside from, like, I was kind of skeptical at first, but usually when you get the 300,000 mile car, you get mods done to it already. Whereas this is just, I paid the same amount, but I got low mileage and clean instead.
Right. Yeah, you could pick one or the other. I mean, in your case too, I feel like you made the better call anyway, because you didn't need a second modified car. Not to say you can't have more than one.
Not to say that this is going to stay stock for very long.
Right.
But for now, it's just a nice daily driver because gas is expensive and I drive a long way to work.
Right. No, I think you definitely made the right call with this car. This is so comfortable too.
It is very comfortable. Not nearly as comfortable as your car.
You think so? Yeah.
Fusion, no.
Oh, thank you.
Those seats were like luxury.
Especially for race seats, like.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is a nice car to be. This is a nice place to be. I definitely understand why this generation gets so much love. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up because the cold is just doing a number on everything with a battery that we have. But anyways, so thoughts on the Mark IV TDI Wagon. I really like it, honestly. It's not a fast car by any means. I wouldn't even remotely call it quick, but it's fun. It's nice. It's actually a nicer drive than a lot of the newer economy cars we have today. It feels like it still has somewhat of a soul. I guess is the best way I would use to describe it. I wish we still got TDIs, but anyone who knows anything about Volkswagen knows why the U.S. no longer has diesel Volkswagens now. But other than that, George, thank you for bringing this all the way out here.
Anytime. Hopefully next time it comes down, it'll have some more modifications to it than
Well,
stock.
once it does, we'll revisit it again for sure. And then hopefully this video isn't too much just rambling. I mean, there's only so much to talk about in a stock Volkswagen, but
Yeah.
either way, I'm glad we did it. So, till we see you next time, we'll be getting a lot more cars. It's hard to film as many cars as we have, just for the fact it's the middle of winter here. A lot of the best ones are put away too. But either way, we had this, it was fun, and we'll see you for the next one.
What happens when you have a windshield repair guy trying to put a mirror back
I pulled the mirror off because I thought it would do better for that camera angle we picked, and now I can't get the mirror to stay on it. Like, the clip loosened up, so I'm trying to bend it back in. I think that's what I usually do in these, because I have done a few windshields in these, and I feel like this normally helps. It goes on, it just feels really loose. Oh, I think that, no. Fuck you. Come on.
The things you do for YouTube.
Ah.